This episode of Rolling with Ray is sponsored by the Texas Boot Company, located in Bastrop, Texas, nationally renowned for hundreds of unique styles of exclusive boots, handmade by some of the best boot makers in Texas. Head-to-toe outfitters, whether you're all cowboy or just from the shins down, check them out and enjoy free shipping nationwide. Visit www.texasbootcompany.com for more information. In this episode of Rolling with Ray, you will meet the incredible Cheryl Angelelli. At the age of 14, Cheryl was involved in a tragic diving accident that left her a quadriplegic. In 1991, she was crowned Miss Wheelchair Michigan and went on to win the first runner-up of Miss America. In 2000, 2004, and in 2008, she made the Paralympic team, in which she won 2 silver medals at the Beijing Paralympic Games and 2 bronze medals at the Athens Paralympic Games. Cheryl is a 7-time world champion. In 2014, Cheryl retired from Paralympic swimming and took up a Paralympic sport called wheelchair ballroom dancing. Yes, called wheelchair ballroom dancing. She and her partner are one of the top-ranked sports couples in the United States. She and her partner have won multiple awards in the United States, including first place in the Fred Astaire World Championships in 2016 and 2019, and first place at the prestigious Ohio Star Ball in 2017. Cheryl is the co-founder of Dance Mobility, a free wheelchair ballroom and amputee dance program offered by the select Astaire Dance Studios across the country. In addition to her job in healthcare marketing and being a motivational speaker, Cheryl now travels teaching competitive and performing ballroom dancing. She will share her story of how she overcame her quadriplegic. It's my honor and privilege to introduce you to Cheryl Angelelli. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for being on Rolling with Ray podcast. I appreciate you being here. For those that are watching and listening, Cheryl is actually in Michigan. Is that correct?
That is Detroit, yes.
Detroit, Michigan. How's the weather up there in Detroit?
It's been a rainy few days, but we're holding out hope that we're finally going to get to see spring here soon.
I don't see how you guys manage that cold weather, especially being a quadriplegic.
It gets tougher every year. I think I'm going to be a snowbird pretty soon and split my time somewhere warm in here.
So Cheryl, can you describe to me and to our viewers what happened to you at the age of 14?
Sure. I had been pretty much an athlete my entire life. Growing up, I was a competitive swimmer. My parents had us in swimming lessons when I was 2 years old, and I was actually at an open swim when I was 8 years old, and a coach from a swim team actually recruited me to come out and swim for the swim team, and absolutely loved swimming. It was something that I just really enjoyed doing, loved being part of the team. And when I was 14 years old, I was practicing with my team, and our coach had us doing a new racing dive, and it happened to be in the shallow end of the pool. And I came down and I hit my head at the bottom of the pool, and I broke my neck, which resulted in a C6 incomplete spinal cord injury.
Wow. Were you conscious the entire time what was happening to you? And did you know what, something is wrong with me right away?
Yeah. At first, I hit the bottom of the pool, and I remember kind of hitting my forehead. And of course, as a freshman in high school, all I could think about is I'm going to have this giant goose egg on my forehead when I go to school on Monday. It happened to be a Friday night. And it wasn't until I tried to take a stroke to come to the top of the water that I realized something was definitely wrong. And I kind of did like a dead man float up to the surface of the water. And, I felt like I was face down for minutes, but it only took seconds really for my teammates to jump in and turn me over and to get to me. But ironically, even though I was 14 years old, I kind of just knew in the back of my head that I had that I was paralyzed. I happened to have a neighbor growing up, and he was injured in a shallow pool accident and had a spinal cord injury. And so in the back of my mind, I just knew that that's what had happened.
Wow. It changes your whole life in a matter of just seconds.
In a split second, yeah. Mhm.
So when you dove in, and did you float actually up to the top, and then your
I
teammates dove
did,
in, and
yeah.
so
Yeah,
your
so my
teammates
teammates
knew
had
what was going on?
Yeah, so I was conscious the entire time, and like you said, I couldn't turn myself over, I couldn't move my arms, I couldn't move my legs, so I was just laying, face down in the water, floated to the top. But it's why they say it's so important never to swim alone, because you never know. I mean, had I been alone, I wouldn't be here today. So it's so important, pool safety, educating people about not diving into shallow water, and being careful not to be, swimming alone, whether it's at a beach or a pool.
Sure, absolutely. So you did your rehab, I assume, in Michigan or Detroit, Michigan. How long were you
I
in?
did.
How long were you in Detroit, Michigan Rehab Center?
So I was a patient at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan shortly after my accident. I spent about 10 days in acute care, and then I spent 6 months in inpatient rehabilitation at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan. It's part of the Detroit Medical Center. And it amazes me because, well, ironically, I work there today. So I was a patient there, and
Wow.
then after graduating from college, they hired me in their communications department, and I have worked there now for 29 years. I was
Wow.
supposed to fill in for somebody, and they never came back, and so 6 months turned into 29 years, and I'm still there. But it amazes me today, the average length of stay for our quadriplegics and many of our paraplegics is only 30 days. So, here you go from 1983 when I had my accident to being in the hospital, 5, 6, 7 months, to our patients today are only there about 30 days.
Wow. So I got hurt in 1981, and I was in the rehab for 5 months in Dallas,
Yeah.
Texas. And you're exactly right. These newly injured folks that are getting paralyzed today, they're in their minimum, probably 30 to 90 days, and
Yeah.
then they're out. And I think a lot of it has to do with the modern technology. The wheelchairs are better, the cushions are better, just so far medically advanced than it was back in 1981 or in the 80s when we got hurt. So
Yes, it's definitely changed.
it definitely has changed. Um, so after your accident, can you describe to our viewers what are the most challenging things that you have encountered?
I think it was really tough because I was a child. I was only 14 years old, and all of a sudden I had to adapt to very grown-up situations and decisions and things very quickly. So, part of the challenge was just kind of really missing out on those, rites of passage as a teenager, getting your license at 16 and going to parties and going on dates. So it was a difficult adjustment. I also, my accident, like I said, happened in the 1980s. I was the only person in my community, the only person in my school who was in a wheelchair. There was no internet at the time or social media for me to be able to connect with other spinal cord injury users to learn from, or even to have as a support system. So it was a very different world back in 1984. So it was very lonely at first because I felt like I had to navigate this whole new world all by myself and figure things out. So I think the adjustment part was probably the most difficult part. And, I often tell people it's almost like going through the grieving process of a death, right? Because you're kind of saying goodbye to this old life that you've known, and you go through the grieving process and finally the acceptance and moving on. And that's kind of how, I came to terms with my disability and the fact that I needed to forge a new path for myself.
Well, back in 1981 when I got hurt, I can relate. I was 16 years old. I go back into school, and of course everybody's looking at you, and I'm the only wheelchair person in that school. And as a matter of fact, at my school where I went to, we had a two-story building, and so some of my classes were upstairs. Well, at that time they didn't even have elevators. so they had to move the classes downstairs to accommodate me. Yeah, it's things have definitely
Yeah.
changed. Like, are you married? Are you dating anybody? What are some of the hobbies that you enjoy?
Yeah, so I am married. I have been married now. It will be 21 years in August, and I am the
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And I am the proud mama of two fur babies. I have a little Shih Tzu and a Cavapoo puppy.
Awesome.
Cavapoo is a King Charles Cavalier and a poodle. And you know, interesting. I met my husband through Paralympics. After having my diving accident, I went on to compete in the Paralympic Games. I competed in 2000, 2004, and 2008, and my husband happened to be a swim coach on the 2000 Paralympic team. So he lived in Michigan, but I didn't know him here in Michigan, so I had to fly all the way to Australia to the
Wow.
Paralympic Games to meet someone who lived right here in basically my own backyard. So we began dating shortly after the Paralympic Games, and he not only became my husband, but he also became my coach. So he coached me through the 2004 and 2008 Paralympic Games. So I have Paralympic sports to thank for bringing us together and uniting us. We both love swimming. Obviously, my husband's still a swim coach. We love being outdoors. We love to ride our bikes. I have a hand cycle. We love to take the dogs out for bike rides. We like to take them to the park to walk. We also love kayaking and traveling. We've been to 32 countries. So those are some of the things that we enjoy doing.
That's awesome. That's great. So in 1991, you were crowned Miss Wheelchair Michigan and eventually became the first runner-up of Miss America. Can you talk about your experiences of 1991?
Yeah, so I really have to say that participating in the Miss Wheelchair Michigan and Miss Wheelchair America program was probably one of the biggest turning points in my life. As I mentioned, I kind of felt like this person that was on this island all alone trying to figure out what my life was going to look like. And it wasn't until I got involved in the Miss Wheelchair America organization that I got to meet other women with disabilities. And it really opened up my eyes to, that there were no limits in life. The only limitations I had were the ones that I chose to place upon myself. So it was very, like I said, a turning point in the fact that I met women who were doctors, who were teachers, who were mothers, who were athletes. And so it was, as you can imagine, it was just it was still very early in my age and in my having my disability. It couldn't have come at a better time, and it really motivated me to not place any limits on myself.
Well, you have really done well for yourself because I was looking at your resume and it just goes on and on and on. So it's awesome, all the things that you have done and accomplished. So after Miss Wheelchair America, you became involved in the Paralympic swimming, and
Yes,
you actually made the Paralympic Swim Team, which is a big honor. You
very
competed in
much
the
so.
Beijing Games and also the Athens Games, and you are a seven-time world champion, which is just
Yes.
incredible. Can you tell our viewers about your experiences internationally as an Olympic champion, a Paralympic champion?
Well, like you said, it is a tremendous honor to be able to go there and to represent your country. And, the biggest thrill was always just that moment right before you come out on the deck and they say your name and they say representing the United States of America. And you realize that this moment is just so much bigger than yourself, right? And yeah, it was amazing. I spent 16 years on the national team, 3 Paralympic Games, had an opportunity to go to world championships and really see the world and make friends all over the world. So it is probably one of the most things I'm most proud of. I have to say, when I first started, I was a little naive. Having had a disability, I had heard of the Paralympics, but I never really knew what they were about. And so I had an opportunity to go to the Atlanta Games in 1996 and cover it as a reporter. And it was the first time that I saw like this elite level competition that existed for athletes with disabilities. And of course, I'm someone who's been a competitive person my entire life. I mentioned, I started swimming when I was 8 years old. So right then and there, I knew that this was something that I wanted to be a part of. And so I, made the goal that I was going to train and make the 2000 Paralympic team. And like I said, I think it was a little naive because I thought, I was a great swimmer before. It's just like riding a bike. I'm going to get back in the water and,
Sure.
I'll make the team, no problem. But it was really like starting from scratch because I had to learn to swim in a completely different body because, my body now couldn't do many of the things that my body used to be able to do, jump off the starting blocks, do a flip turn. So it really was like starting all over again. But 4 years later, I was ranked one of the top 5 swimmers in the world and had an opportunity to participate in the 2000 Paralympic Games. Like I said, I met my husband there. I didn't come home with a medal from the 2000 Games. I came home with a husband, but in 2004 Athens, I came home with 2 bronze medals, and in Beijing, my last Paralympic Games, I came home with 2 silver medals.
That's awesome. That's great. Great story. In 2014, you retired from competitive swimming, and then you started in wheelchair ballroom dancing. Yes, that's correct. I did say that right. Wheelchair ballroom dancing. You have won multiple awards, you and your partner. Can you describe your experience? First of all, how does all that work? Because I'm sure my viewers are probably like, what are you talking about, wheelchair ballroom dancing, Ray?
Yeah, so I was looking for a different competitive outlet and something to do after I had retired from Paralympic swimming, and para dance was something that I had known about, heard about, and I said, that is something that I've always wanted to try. So it was the perfect opportunity to try to transition. People don't know, but wheelchair ballroom dancing is actually a Paralympic sport. It's just not one of the sports that is in the Paralympic Games. We're trying to get it added as a new sport, but it has been around since the 1960s, and it's very popular in Europe and in Asia. And so I've been on this mission to grow the sport here in the United States and to get more people involved. And, it's amazing. We just got back, I've been competing now with my partner. We've been together for 7 years. We just got back from competition in Amsterdam, where we won a silver medal in ballroom and a bronze medal in Latin. It was our first time competing Latin, so we were really happy with our results. It's our first competition back since COVID, so it was great to be in person and see all of our paradance friends from around the world. But really, if you'll have to Google me, or you have to Google paradance sport, because I think you're actually going to be blown away and amazed by the athleticism, the beauty, the grace of the sport. It's so different from swimming. Swimming, I was always with wet hair, no makeup, in a bathing suit. And now I'm like transported to this glamorous world of, spray tans and over the top makeup and hair and and
all the costumes.
Outfits and yes.
And all the costumes.
And yeah, the biggest thing too is, swimming was an individual sport. So now I have to work with a partner. And so that was a big change as well. But, we dance all styles. We dance Latin, like I said, we do tango, we do cha-cha, we do samba, we do waltz, we do Viennese waltz. Our freestyle, we do lifts. He picks me up in my wheelchair over his head and does lifts.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely a contact sport. I can tell you because I broke 3 ribs when he fell on me earlier this summer. So
wow.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. Please go online, check it out, and please contact me if you're interested in finding a program near you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for telling that story. So you're the co-founder of Dance Mobility. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about Dance Mobility?
Yeah, so like I said, it's not a sport that's very popular here in the United States. A lot of people have never heard of para dance sport. So I am kind of on this self-mission as to be an ambassador and really grow the sport here in the United States. So I co-founded Dance Mobility. It is possible through a grant from the RIM Foundation. And we provide free monthly ballroom dance lessons for persons with disabilities, both children and adults, at our local Fred Astaire Dance Studio. That's who we're in partnership with. And we also started an amputee group. So we have amputees who use a prosthetic, also learning to ballroom dance. And it's amazing, when I started the program, I really thought it would be all of my girlfriends in wheelchairs coming out to dance. And I can tell you that some months we have more men in class than we do ladies. So that's really great to see that it's a sport that's really embraced by everybody.
Wow.
And now my partner and I, since starting it in Michigan, we are traveling to other Fred Astaire Dance Studios across the country and trying to bring dance, adapted dance and ballroom dance to their community. So we've been to Wisconsin has a program, Texas has a program, Indiana has a program. So we're really excited. And, as I mentioned, ballroom dancing has been around since the 1960s, wheelchair ballroom dancing, but we've never had a competition here in the United States. Every time my partner and I have to compete, we have to go overseas to be able to compete against other people with disabilities.
Wow.
So I'm excited to have submitted a bid to the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee and World Dance Sport. And next year in August, we are going to be hosting the very first international paradance competition here in the United States, right here in Michigan. And we have over 100 athletes from over 20 countries that will be coming here to the United States for the first time to compete in paradance.
Congratulations on that. And I appreciate you doing everything what you're doing. As I mentioned earlier, your resume is just unbelievable. And, kudos to you. What drives Cheryl?
Gosh, I think you have to wake up every day with purpose and passion. And that's something that I have. Right now my passion is really ballroom dancing and exposing other people and letting them know that there's no limits in life. So I think that's what drives me is just waking every day and having a passion and purpose for something, and also gratitude, right? So I'm grateful for this life that I get to lead and all of the things that I get to do.
Where do you see Cheryl in 10 years from now?
Gosh, I hope I'm still dancing because I love it so much. And, that's the thing about it. It's a sport that no matter what age you are, you can still be physical and you can still compete. So I hope to still be dancing.
Well, Cheryl, we're almost out of time. I've got one final question I wanted to ask you. You're a truly amazing and successful individual. Where can people reach out to you if they have a question or if they want to know more about dance mobility?
Sure. So you can go to Dance Mobility. The website is dancemobility.org. And I'm also on Facebook at Cheryl Angelelli fan page, or you can find me on Instagram at Wheel Dancer USA. And I'm happy to respond to any questions. So please reach out to me.
Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for being on my podcast called Rollin with Ray. And my good friend Bill Thornton wanted me to tell you hello and to make sure you come by and see him because he hadn't seen you in a while. So I wanted to plug that in.
Thank you, Ray. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And if you're ever in Dallas, Texas, look me up.
I'll definitely take you up on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching and listening to my podcast. I want to thank the Grossman Burn Foundation and the Texas Boot Company for sponsoring this episode. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on my YouTube channel called Rollin with Ray. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Should you be looking for a good read, please pick up my book called The Life I Didn't Expect, Facing Adversity and Winning. The book is on Amazon. Until I see you again, keep rolling with Ray. This episode of Rollin with Ray is sponsored by the Grossman Burn Foundation. The Grossman Burn Foundation provides medical, financial, and emotional support to families who have suffered a burn injury, and they aid in the development of a self-sustainable communities worldwide through public education, strategic partnerships, and teamwork. For more information, go to www.grossmanburnfoundation.org or email inquiries to info@grossmanburnfoundation.org, or you can call 866-411-4423 for more information. This week I'll be celebrating my 42nd year as a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. My life has definitely changed the last 42 years. I have met some of the most incredible people. I am so thankful and blessed to have lived a wonderful life. I want to thank my family, my friends, and everybody who I've come in contact, because somehow, some way, I learn from each individual. So here's to another, hopefully, 42 years. Thank you so much, and God bless you.